I mean, you've had it pretty good. So there's a degree of jealousy involved.
Andrew Tate is roasting Jake Paul and Logan Paul.
Logan Paul is a bitch, and I will say that here publicly. If anyone wants, I'll fight him for free.
Andrew Tate is calling out Jake and Logan Paul for polluting combat sports yet again. These two refuse to flush, treating boxing like a WWE-style cash grab rather than a real competition. Their upcoming fight on March 27th isn't about skill. It's about selling pay-per-views, manipulating fans, and squeezing every drop of attention before the hype dies. Logan Paul, the ultimate corporate sellout, has no spine, no real opinions, and zero loyalty beyond his bank account. Before Tate's ban, Logan was all over him, reposting clips and pretending to respect him. But the moment Tate got cancelled, Logan flipped like the shameless opportunist he is. These fights aren't about proving anything. They're overhyped, over-scripted scams disguised as sporting events. Everyone with a functioning brain is tired of it. Tate, like many others, has had enough of the Paul brothers.
Logan Paul doesn't believe in any of the things he says. Logan Paul is a man, if you ever were unfortunate enough to consume his content, I get sent clips of it all the time by people mocking him.
Turning boxing into a circus just to line their pockets. When Andrew Tate got cancelled, Logan Paul switched sides faster than a cheap politician on election day. Suddenly, Tate was problematic, and Logan was parroting the same weak corporate script about Tate being a bad influence. This is the same Logan Paul who built his career on controversy, scams, and absolute clownery. Let's not.
He said, oh, I think he even said in his video he made about me, when you get canceled, you know, Andrew's pretending he doesn't care and he's some stoic warrior, but I know how much it hurts. Logan, it hurt you because you're a bitch. I don't give a fuck. I've been saying I'm going to get canceled for the last 2 years.
Forget. This is the genius who filmed a dead body in Japan and laughed about it. The same Logan who launched a cryptocurrency.
Logan is a man who will say anything he thinks he is supposed to say so that the people in charge of him don't take his YouTube channel away. Because if he loses it, he has nothing else.
He scam, stole millions, then acted like it never happened. And now he wants to stand on some moral high ground. Logan, you have no principles, no integrity, and not even a real personality. Everything you say and do is pre-approved by your corporate masters, and you'll follow orders as long as the check's clear. As for his so-called fighting career, if you can even call it that, it's just another scripted cash grab. Logan Paul barely survived an amateur scrap with KSI, then ran straight to WWE, a place where even your grandma knows.
Doesn't believe what he's saying. He's bought and sold. He's a puppet. He's a clown. And his clown is, when you're a clown, right?
The fights are fake. That's exactly where he belongs, throwing staged punches at actors in a choreographed spectacle, pretending to be a tough guy while knowing nobody is actually trying to hurt him. His so-called fight with Floyd Mayweather was a complete joke. Floyd carried him through 8 rounds like he was babysitting a toddler. If Mayweather had actually wanted to fight, Logan would have been unconscious before the 2nd round.
Personally, but I do have a dislike, just as on a personal level in general, for cowardice, hypocrisy, switching up on people. That's just not how I roll with.
Logan had to survive to keep the scam going, so they made sure it was just a glorified sparring session. Logan isn't a fighter. He's a walking marketing campaign in boxing gloves, selling hype and fake drama while real fighters put their lives on the line. And then there's Jake Paul, the so-called problem child, who's really just a privileged, attention-starved YouTuber playing pretend as a boxer. He built his entire fake boxing career by cherry-picking opponents like a scam artist picking his next victim. His fights against...
You are a clown. You are a performing clown.
Retired MMA fighters with zero boxing experience, undersized influencers, and washed-up athletes. Every single opponent was carefully selected to make him look good, all while pretend. And now Jake Paul's latest masterpiece, fighting a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Let's take a moment to appreciate the sheer level of cowardice it takes to call yourself a serious boxer while fighting a man who's nearly eligible for a senior citizen discount. Tyson is a legend, no doubt, but this...
I made the video, I really dislike Jake Paul. Now, I don't dislike him, I understand him. I want to make something clear. I would still kick the living...
It isn't 1986, and he's no longer the knockout machine he once was. This is a businessman cashing in on nostalgia, and Jake knows it. If Jake was serious about boxing, he'd be fighting young, active, dangerous opponents. But he won't, because he knows exactly what would happen. Look at Tommy Fury. The first time Jake fought someone his own age, his own size, and with real boxing experience, he got humbled. The illusion shattered the moment he couldn't rely on beating up retired UFC fighters with no boxing skills. And what did Jake do next? Did he fight another real boxer?
However, I do understand what he's doing. I understand that he is very, very smart, even with his marketing angle. I'm just a YouTuber. You're not just a YouTuber. You're a full-grown man with the best coaches in the world who's dedicated his life to learning how to box for years. You know how to box. You're not a complete amateur. You know how to box very well. 3, 4, 5 years of training combat sports. You can box.
Nope. He went right back to fighting old men to keep the scam alive. Jake Paul isn't interested in competition. He's interested in keeping the scam alive. The Paul brothers' so-called rivalry is about as real as Logan's WWE matches and Jake's boxing record. This isn't about proving who's the better fighter. It's a business stunt, a scripted drama designed to milk controversy for millions. Andrew Tate has already exposed them. Jake and Logan aren't fighting because they have real beef. They're fighting because it's a multi-million-dollar payday, and their gullible fan base will eat it up like the suckers they are. It's the same recycled playbook they've been running for years: fake drama, exaggerated feuds, and ridiculous WWE-style storylines, all designed to generate headlines and jack up pay-per-view sales. It's the most obvious cash grab in combat sports history. They manufacture tension, drop some staged social media insults, throw in a few dramatic face-offs, and then act like they're settling it in the ring, all while laughing their way to the bank. And guess what? It works because people are dumb enough to believe it.
The opposite perspective. I feel like ruining my little brother's boxing career would be so bad.
This is the same recycled playbook they've been running for years. Fake drama, exaggerated feuds, and ridiculous WWE-style storylines.
Logan and Jake aren't enemies, they're business partners. This entire fight is just another money-making scam. Jake and Logan Paul's so-called grudge match is nothing more than a money-printing scam disguised as a rivalry. Andrew Tate has already exposed their lack of loyalty, and this fight proves it. Logan is out here teaming up with KSI, the same guy who publicly humiliated Jake. And somehow that's not a red flag. What kind of brother partners with his brother's biggest rival just for a payday? Logan and KSI literally own a company together.
Listen, he's a young kid out there trying to make
Prime Energy, a cheap sugar-filled scam drink they push on their fan base while pretending to be fighters. And now suddenly, Logan is fighting Jake. It's so obviously staged that it's insulting to anyone with an IQ above room temperature. But let's be real, the only fight that actually matters is Andrew Tate versus Jake Paul. That's the fight that would settle everything. And guess what? Jake doesn't want it. Tate has already said he's been in talks with Jake's team, but Jake refuses to sign the contract because he knows exactly what would happen. He dodges real fights like his life depends on it. Tate has already called out Jake's steroid use, and that's another reason this fight isn't happening. Jake wouldn't
Thing to do with some sort of episodic thing, right? That was my first thought. This is not a fight. This is some sort of episodic or documentary.
even pass a proper drug test, and everyone knows it. Jake Paul's unnatural jumps between weight classes scream synthetic enhancements. His physique alone raises questions, and Tate has already called out his steroid use. Meanwhile, Andrew Tate is a world champion kickboxer with a real combat record. No rigged fights, no cherry-picked opponents, no scripted wins. Jake's entire boxing career is
I'm just going to tell you the truth. It's not. They're not.
built on fake fights, but against Tate, there would be nowhere to hide. This circus between Jake and Logan is just another distraction. Another phony fight designed to fool the masses. Somehow, these two clowns have convinced people they're real fighters, when in reality, everything they do is a carefully crafted business strategy. The worst part, their brainwashed fans actually believe it. People throw money at these scripted fights, thinking they're watching a real rivalry unfold, when in truth, Logan and Jake are business partners cashing in on stupidity. Tate is laughing at how easily the Paul brothers manipulate their audience into funding their scams. This fight isn't about competition. It's about selling drama, controversy, and keeping their names in the headlines. The biggest scam in combat sports history is unfolding right in front of everyone, and fans are willingly buying into it. Jake and Logan are not fighters. They're not warriors. They're not competitors. They are businessmen, content creators, and reality show actors who have turned boxing into a joke. This fight isn't about pride or proving who's the best. It's just another business transaction, and the real losers are the people dumb enough to pay for it. Andrew Tate sees right through it, and so does anyone with an IQ higher than a glass of water. This isn't boxing. This isn't about legacy. This is a money-making circus, and Jake and Logan Paul are the two biggest clowns in the act.